Good morning, traders. Today is Wednesday, February 2nd. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see everyone here. Please smash that like button if you can. If you're willing and able, I would surely appreciate it. All right, well, what are we looking at here in the market? So we had a breakout of balance a couple days ago. We got a continuation of that breakout yesterday. Basically, we know it's a continuation. We know it's I haven't had any coffee yet, guys. I'm so sorry. We know it's a continuation of the trend because we had value higher than the previous day, and we also got that spike up in the M period, which closed inside that spike. So both of those are a sign of momentum to the upside, which makes sense breaking out of balance, okay? Now, the overnight just basically traded above the spike, which is bullish to see. I expected that they would at least pull down and test, these single prints that we left behind yesterday and test the base of that spike, but they did not. They just went literally one tick lower, and then spent the rest of the night trading above yesterday's range. So that's pretty bullish to see. However, that means that the overnight inventory is net long. So we're going to open with a gap up this morning. The first thing that we're going to watch is when we get the counter auction, right? If most of the inventory for the overnight is long, we expect to have some kind of counter auction to the downside. And with a gap, that kind of adds to the probability that the market will try to trade down to yesterday's high. If it finds support anywhere above yesterday's high or at yesterday's high, so if it trades down like this and finds support, or it trades all the way down to yesterday's high, finds some support there, that is the most bullish thing that can happen. That's what we call a gap and go, okay? Pretty much that's as bullish as the market gets, is a gap and go. And you stack that on top of the momentum that we've got on our side, the breakout of balance. It would just be very bullish to find support there at yesterday's high. Spike rules are in play from yesterday, from this spike, and the spike rules also confirm the most bullish scenario is opening above the spike. So things look pretty bullish this morning. Even if we didn't find support at yesterday's high, I wouldn't necessarily be looking to go short. You could. If we don't find support there, you could go short for a trade down to test that spike, to test 45.16. Okay, so the market is open. First order of business is a counter auction to the downside. Looking for support. You could go short from yesterday's high to the base of the spike. It's a pretty big range. It's plenty of profits to be taken in there. But the real confirmation, if we're not going to get continuation higher, would be breaking below that spike, the base of that spike. So I could still see the market, even if we don't find support at yesterday's high, trading down to here, finding support in here, and then continuing higher. So I don't really get bearish until we get below this level. But same as yesterday, if we do, we have a lot of weak references to target to the downside. So things would get very bearish very quick once we get through that node of volume that we left behind yesterday right around the POC. There would be not a lot of support until we start backfilling some of these weaknesses. But that's just thinking way ahead. At the moment, the focus is on the gap. Do they fill the gap? And if they do they find support? Or do they find support above yesterday's high, which is also extremely bullish? I'm sure the question on everyone's mind is this just a fake out? Is this market going to pull right back down and retest that balance area? Oh man, the daily looks so much different this morning. Wow. Just like we did here, balancing area breakout, came back down, retested. Balancing area breakout, come back down, retested. Are we going to get another one of those here? Let's wait and see. If we were going to, oh man, I just noticed the market reversed in the overnight right at the 618. I was just about to say it would probably be at the 618. would be the last bit of potential resistance if it was going to bounce back down looking for support. So that's interesting to see. So yeah, today should give us some insights moving forward, but at the moment it's bullish. Good morning, Diego. Good to see you. Welcome. Chris is here. Good morning, class. Good morning, Chris. FRM, good to see you. David Cooper in the house. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for the reminder. A good pirate smashes the like button. Arr. Cyrus, hi to you. MW, ahoy. Laser Eye, ahoy. Insane, ahoy. Philip, good morning. Stephen, good to see you. Amir back with us. The Shaw is in the house. Scooball, Rev, greetings to you. David V. MK. David G. J Trader. Trading Donkey. Donkey saying Google profit taking is hurting the NQ. Yeah, they had a bit of a bounce, didn't they? Let's take a look at the Q. Q's in exactly the same position as the ES. It's a gap and go on top of a spike. So we are looking for support at yesterday's high, 15,020. Or anywhere above it. It's worth noting when you have a gap, that is a day you don't sit around and wait for trade opportunities. As soon as you get that signal that we're getting support, you get in it because it can run away from you. And you don't want to chase the momentum to the upside. So I'm keeping a very close eye on the market here. It also might be time to switch back to one tick increments soon. Jose, good morning to you. Trading Ducky went right to the 618 and reversed. Doubt that's the end of the story. Well, we'll find out today. Danielle, good morning to you. Trader Ned in the house. John Doe. Let's make some dough. Element Prism, this volume at this level bullish? No, that's a great point. We've had very low volume. That is a good point. That's less convincing. Looks like that 618 is also right where there's a trend line as well from the previous highs. So some resistance to work through today. Okay, so far they're finding support. Don't love the taper at the low. I don't like 13 contracts. I'd rather see a few more ticks lower there. So it goes like 3,000, 1,500, 100 or something like that. So that just increases the odds slightly. We'll pull back down, but we might not if the momentum is winning. Madra guten Morgen. Nunez, ahoy to you. Rob Farley in the house. Diego back with us. Futures Trader 71 says he expects the momentum to slow down. The man knows his markets. Something to that. John Doe, the 618 is also equal to the overnight initial balance's 200% extension to the tick. Yeah, there's some confluence in this resistance. I mean, let's face it, it wouldn't hurt to have a bit of a pullback here and retest that balance area high, right? Retest that like 44.20 area. Repair all this weak references, but we just can't see that right now, not with a gap and go on top of a spike up. Just don't have those signals yet. Okay, they're absorbing the counter auction. I still think we need to test this low a little bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and take a bullish stance. I'm not looking to short this by any means. So I'm looking for long trades as long as we stay above yesterday's high. Even if we do pull back down, I'll still look to buy that because this is bullish momentum to me. I wouldn't hold it if we broke below yesterday's low. So if we got like below 45.36, I'd let it go down and test the base of the spike up. But at the moment, value is higher, gap and go, spike with most bullish confirmation. You know, I'm not going to fight the market generated information. It'll be interesting to see how hard it will be to get through this resistance at the overnight high, being that there's so much confluence in there. And this nice big volume node from the cumulative volume. Screwball, gap isn't stronger than momentum for a short time. The gap is the signal of momentum. The gap is what's telling us we have momentum to the upside, right? So these overnight traders, they're net long because they started down here. More of them had to be long in order to push the price up to where we opened. And so they didn't feel any need to take profits. Okay, if they did, we would have pulled lower. So that's kind of bullish to see. And then to continue to push the price higher, new buyers would have had to step in. We see that because it came down to the zero line. Well, now it's retesting the zero line. It had come down to the zero line and found support there multiple times. So that's new buyers jumping in. So that just shows you there's some momentum. But it's weaning. So definitely looking for a pullback here, at the very least to test this 13 contract low, if not yesterday's high. But I'm still bullish on the momentum. Screwball, but filling the gap is the opposite of momentum. No, that's the point, is that filling the gap isn't bearish at all. There's nothing bearish about filling a gap. It's normal, healthy market behavior. We expect the gap to fill. So that's why we say if the gap fills and it immediately finds support, oh, wow, it's bullish, right? The market really wants to go higher. And if it doesn't fill the gap, if it finds support above yesterday's high, even more so, very bullish. But the market pulling down and filling the gap, that's just normal market behavior. There's nothing bearish about that. So it is not a sign that there is no momentum. Trader Ned, can you use fibs on market profile? You can. I don't, though. But yeah, these things right here are actually fibs. I just have all the numbers like marked off. See, I could add them. Danielle, new buyers know that they will need a lot of strength to push straight higher. It's more easier to get in and add at a lower high. Yeah, you mean for gaps? Yeah. That's the idea behind if we don't find support at the high, I'd be looking for it to pull back down to the next support at the base of the spike. If this isn't enough to bring in new buyers, maybe this is. Okay, so we repaired that taper. Let's see if this little node that was acting as support now becomes resistance, or if we're able to push back up through it. Daniel, looking at the daily structure, yeah. Well, it could be. We may reject off that 618 and need to come back down and test this, balance area high. Wouldn't be unreasonable. Look for support there and then try to break out. That's what we did there and there. Actually, never mind. That's totally different. but it's what we did there. All right, well, the internals are telling us we definitely need to test yesterday's high. We don't have the buyers here. So that would be 45.41, looking for support there. Okay, the NQ is getting close to filling its gap. White's bullish, question mark? Yep, I'm bullish as long as we stay above yesterday's high. Once we get, if we fail to find support at yesterday's high, I wouldn't describe it as bearish, but I do believe we'll trade down to 45.16. And it's a shortable trade. But I don't really get bearish till we get below there. But at the moment, it's still a gap and go. No reason to fight the market-generated information till it gives us new information. Element still bullish with the ticks? Yeah. It's that overnight inventory. Like I said, filling a gap is not bearish. There's nothing bearish about it. It's normal. It's what we expect. It's like a push away from a poor high. Nunez, yeah. So the gap fill play, the best way to do it that I've found personally is the market opens, okay? It comes down, it finds some support, it starts to push higher. At that point, what you do is you put a short at the opening price so that if the market comes back down through that open, you get short at the opening price. You then put your stop above whatever the high was at the time that you passed back through the open, targeting filling the gap. That, in my opinion, is the safest and best way to play a gap fill. You don't short right when the market opens. You wait for it to push higher, and then you short the pass back through. Well, bro, if you miss a play because you're on the toilet, I mean, it is what it is. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. Scooball asks, what do you think about the idea of waiting 5 to 10 minutes after the market opens? From my observation, it'll go up, then fake down, then up, then down, and fill the gap. That is not my observation. Generally, if it wants to fill the gap, it heads straight there. So no, on a gap day, you don't wait around. If you think the gap's going to fill, you get short. If you think it's going to get continuation higher, you get long. Yeah, that's the way I see it. The Addict is with us. Good to see you, brother. Welcome. S&P Addict going to record his whole day. You going to post it somewhere and let us watch and critique? Let us pass judgment on you publicly? You're going to love it, by the way, if you do. No pressure at all. I mean, Nunes, if your company doesn't have good Wi-Fi in the bathroom, it's time to quit your job. They don't deserve you. A man deserves to look at memes while he poops, damn it. Okay, getting resistance here. So I really feel like we need that gap fill to bring in the buyers. Uh, Lil Goldfish has 45.55. Yeah, so you're probably including that last 15-minute runoff period, which is like the A period for me. Yeah, 45.50. 54. Okay, yeah, so the A and B period. Yeah, you're just using that runoff period. I don't include that anymore. I just use the exact regular trading hours. Okay, we got good taper on the low, and we're pushing back up into this resistance around the open from this morning. So if we can get through that, that will be slightly bullish to see. But the ticks are saying no. Okay. That low is looking juicy. Can they hold it? And can we get through the resistance around the overnight high? Two Manifs back with us. Hello, hello. Do it. Do it, Nunes. Go on strike. Get your whole office together. Probably winter time's not a good time for that. $113 people watching, 54 likes. If you see it in your heart, if you feel it in your soul, to slide your mouse on over to that thumbs up and just give it a little click, I sure would appreciate it. Laser Eye, is the A period low considered a selling tail? It is at this moment. For those of you that are wondering, what does he mean by a selling tail? It's just the the sign that we ran out of sellers, right? We can watch how the volume kind of just slowly fell off there. Less and less people willing to go short in here. More and more people willing to go long. We just eventually ran out of sellers. So now things are getting interesting, right? We're back up in this resistance. We're having a hard time poking through it. And we're losing the, like a gap and go is like an emotional thing. It's like an excitement thing, right? It's very much like a FOMO. People miss their chance to get into the long trade and the market just runs away from them. So they pile on very quickly. And we're not quite getting that sort of excitement and tempo here. So the more time we spend grinding here, the less and less bullish it becomes. They really need to head up and test that overnight high pretty soon, or they will they'll lose the bulls. TV, should longs ignore breadth -2 because of the gap and go? Ignore, no, never ignore, but just take it as one data point. So what do I mean by take it as one data point? So that alone shouldn't convince you to be bearish, right? When I look at the market, I'm constantly balancing all these different ideas. So the internals look weak. The internals look like we need a pullback, but we got a gap and go. We got value higher. We got a spike that opened above. You know, we've got all these other signals that are bullish. So I'm just weighing them in my mind. But right now, the thing that's catching my attention is the tempo and the time. If we don't get a push here soon, the bulls will give up. Zeb, just always correct me on that every time I get it wrong, and I will get it wrong every time. All right, the resistance is wing here. MK, I feel like shorting, but don't want to go against Charles. If you want to short. Like I said, if they can't get a pop higher, they'll need to fill that gap. But I just wouldn't fall in love with the trade. You know, see what happens when we get to yesterday's high. Because we could easily find support there and then turn around and trade higher. It's not a trade I would do, but if it's what you're feeling, you should do what you think. That's the only way you'll ever grow as a trader. You have to teach your mind to do an analysis on its own, come to a conclusion, and then experience the result of said conclusion. If you just listen to me, what if I'm having a bad day? Then you lose money. Or what if I'm sick one day and I'm not here and you're all on your own? Oh no. Rob, the gap fill would be to 45.41. Let's take a look at the Q. Is it pushing through that resistance? Okay, so they got through that resistance from this morning. So, man, the Q, same thing as the ES. It's got that node of volume right at the overnight high. So let's see if it's able to get through there. I don't know, Donkey. That's risky, though. That's a cash business. Customers might show up with the exact right amount and then be disappointed. They might head to another Wendy's looking for a discount. Ocean Blue. Charles, was yesterday's profile a bell? Yes, it was. A textbook. Beautiful little bell. Well, I suppose the single prints are a bit ugly, but other than that, nice little bell. Ding, ding. Today is not starting off as a P. Today is starting off as a bell as well, right? We got all the volume in the middle, and then less time and volume on the outer edges. So right now, this is actually rotating as well. But of course, it's just, the beginning of the day. FRM, the node of volume over here on the left, yeah, that's cumulative. Normally I have it at 30 days. Right now I have it at 60 days. So that's all the volume from the last 60 trading days combined together, all smushed together. Donkey. Rotary Club? Hey, man. Customers are customers, Is that what the kids are calling it these days? All right, so once again, guys, I'm losing my enthusiasm here. I'm losing my bullishness. The thing that gives the gap and go its power is the excitement, the fear of missing out. These buyers do not have that. All right, I'm going to go back to a neutral stance. And at this point, to get me bullish, they got to get those ticks to stay above the zero line. And they got to break through and stay above this node of volume right here. Otherwise, I think we need to fill the gap. Trading donkeys say it isn't so. Zeb does not appear bullish to me. Yeah, I mean, it feels uncertain to me, but it certainly doesn't feel bearish. It feels like indecision. Feels like the Bulls and the Bears are duking it out, and we don't know who's going to win yet. But we can always hop on their coattails once they do. Mirror. Sure. Jitten, I'm sure larger buyers just want pullback. Yeah. They don't buy at highs, that's for sure. Jitten. Cool, man. Like I said, you don't have to do it now. Give me a couple weeks. Once I finish the e-course, I'm going to then set my sights on changing all the merch to the new logo. So just wait for that. But I appreciate you keeping track. No, the 36 that you're looking at there, Cyrus, that's just for this 30-minute period. When we're talking about taper at the lows, we're looking at the volume profile for the day's range, so for the last hour. And we have good taper on that one. So it doesn't mean that is the low, but that if it was, it would be a good low. I know it's a bit confusing in the morning because, these look identical. But yeah, the one in the middle is just for the current, 30-minute period. I sure did. I sold it 2 days ago. I mean, I traded the breakout 2 days ago, but also yesterday, and it was tough yesterday, man. I sat in that trade forever waiting for the market to break out, but I knew it was going to. Correct, yeah, Cyrus. It's not for individual periods. I guess you could say for the first period. Yeah. But see, what happens is people re enter trades, right? So let's say I've got a lot of money, right? I'm a big player, not huge, for regular retail big. And I get long in here, right? And the market trades higher, it gets some resistance. I'm not going to add to my position up there, but if it pulls back down, I might say, you know what? I like it. I'm going to buy it again. Pushes up again, I'm going to buy it again. So sometimes you get where they keep pushing into that taper and they keep getting buyers right in there. So it doesn't take as many to find the support once you've already established it. But honestly, don't overthink that 100 contracts thing. That's just an observation. Like I said, everything is just one data point to me. That is like the least important of all the data points. Taper in general is the least important of all the data points. Look at what terrible taper they had on the overnight here, and then they just shot straight up. So look at the bad taper on the high, you know. So don't get too stuck on any one idea. All right. Well, the ticks are telling the tale. There are more sellers than buyers in this market. And when there's more sellers than buyers, you got to pull the price down to bring in the buyers. MK locked in 12 points for the open and feeling no rush now. There you go. MK, do you track VOLD? Yeah, that's what the breath is up here in the top left corner. Brian, how do you interpret the data inside the box below? Well, the standard deviation, that just like is in there. I don't never look at that. I don't know what that is. But the delta, yeah, that just shows me the difference between. So basically, what you're looking at is the current amount that's traded. So this is the volume for each 30-minute time period, and then the average is the 10-day average. So the delta is showing you the difference between the current amount and the 10-day average. So for example, in the A period this morning, we had like 40,000 contracts less than the average. Same thing with the range over here. Range is the size of the overall day. Initial balance range is just the size of the A and B period. I don't look at that much, but it gives you a nice clue. Like yesterday, I could just easily see we had low volume all day. A little bit less confidence. All right, so this is a poor low when the B period is one tick from the A period. So this push higher that we're getting right now is just a push away from the poor low. We do expect it'll come back down and get at least one tick lower at some point today. We call that repairing the poor low. MacFin's 1766 contracts at the 45.40.75. What does that signify? $40.75. I'm having trouble seeing what you're looking at. Maybe frame the question differently. Okay, so that C period low is added weakness to the low because it is only one tick from the A period low as well. So that's a sign that the buyers that are trying to hold up the market right here, they're short-term traders. So if they don't make profits quick, if they don't get a push soon, the market will come back down and repair that poor low. That would also begin the process of one time framing lower, which is a bearish signal. But I don't get really bearish on the market, as I mentioned earlier this morning, until we get below the single prints we left behind yesterday. So that would be 45.16. If we trade down into there and find support, I'd be perfectly happy to go long with it. Or I guess at that point I'd have to wait for cessation, but that would at least be a good signal right there. If we start to trade below that, if we start to trade into this node of volume where we spent so much time bouncing around yesterday, then we have a lot of targets to the downside to backfill. 4,500, 44.95, 44.72. So we just do what we call monitoring for continuation. When it fills this one, is that enough to bring in support? If not, the next one, is that enough? If not, the next one. And they just kind of keep going down until they find enough buyers. And then you can just zoom out to the daily chart. And just look at that balancing area. That's the last potential support right there if we were to trade that low. But of course, I'm getting way ahead of myself. All right, so with that, I bid you all farewell. I wish you happy trading. And I look forward to seeing you all here tomorrow. Members of the Brigade, let's ride.